Shalom, shalom. This is your brother Wasilkamilbey, and we are sham stoppers. We reserve,
Peace.
we reserve all our rights and waive none. Now, we on this sending the mail back shit, right? And I got my brother on the phone. You know what I mean? He gonna explain it to y'all, so y'all don't let nobody fuck y'all up. You know what I'm talking about? Because you can't just send this mail back when they know where your ass live at, because your baby mama is gonna put that shit down on there. And if that shit's on your license and all that, hey, I want property served is out the door. And can you explain that, my brother?
Yeah. Let me see. I'm trying to find your live feed here.
No, I'm
Is your
not
live
live.
feed up?
No, we just doing a
Oh, okay.
regular. I'm doing a live Friday about the Social Security number for retarded motherfuckers.
Okay. Cool. So, like my brother Wasil said, if you're going to send the mail back, you got to have a valid defense that you can prove of why you were not served. Okay, you can't just go in there and be like, I returned it because I didn't want to do business with you, whatever. Let me tell you something. These people triple check their sources. The one ways they get your address is they'll look up your driver's license, see what address is on that. That is also proof that can go into an affidavit of attestation. That will work with your baby mama. Your baby mama will literally set you up where she can show proof that you live at that address. That's number two. Number three, these people check your credit report, not only for your income status or how much you pay on whatever, but they also check your address. They also may send you an envelope that's unmarked with just your name on it. I've seen them do that. So basically, if you send the mail back after it's been opened, that is proof that the person of interest received that. That's another one that they do. Okay? Now, under Rule 12b-4 and 12b-5 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, it does have things that explain insufficient of process and insufficient of service. Those are two different things. You have to prove beyond a doubt that you were not serviced, okay, or the service was insufficient. Most letters that come to your house has a barcode on it. So they can pull up that certified mail and compare it through affidavit of the baby mama, of the agency, or whatever attorneys working that case. They can write an affidavit and show the proof attesting that that's your address. And if you are not there to rebut an affidavit, which stands as truth until you rebut it, the court is going to use that affidavit as truth in testimony. Now, what will happen is they will hit you with a default judgment. When they do that, you're going to have to go and defend yourself, okay? Because if you read under, you're going to have to get the book, okay? Because this book is the Federal Civil Rules book. You have to get the book because it tells in detail what your defenses are. Your defenses are you're going to have to show up and have the burden of proof of proving, hey, you were not served. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to say, hey, I wasn't served. That affidavit is a lie. Okay, sir, how is that affidavit and the proof that they put on the record is a lie? Can you show us another way or another address that you stay at, or can you show us some documentation that shows that you are not at that residence? You understand? Because we have a picture of your ID, we have your credit reports, we have testimony and evidence from your baby mama. What do you have to show that we did not send this notice to your address? Okay? So, there was a recent video posted about a brother who got his case dismissed. Okay? He got his case dismissed. He made two arguments, by the way. Apparently this dude, I think his name goes by Mr. Duffy. First and foremost, Mr. Duffy, congratulations. If you did the work on your own, then you're doing most of the work that some of these people can't do, and that's study and know what's going on. But let me tell you the difference between making an argument of invalid service process like Mr. Duffy did in a recent video uploaded versus what is being told to you by another person. there was a person on a video not too long ago that told you about the mailbox rule. I guess it was in rebuttal to what was told to you on Sham Stoppers. Well, they made a rebuttal video talking about you need to read and study the mailbox rule and blah, blah, blah. You can send it back and blah. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you the difference. Him telling you do that versus what Mr. Duffy did is night and day. Mr. Duffy had subject matter. He had a claim. He had two aces under his sleeve. Okay? When Mr. Duffy argued invalid service process, he had beyond a shadow of a doubt proof that he was not at that residence to receive service process. And the child in question was adopted. Okay, so the child is no longer his property. Okay, so paternity had to be challenged because the court issued a default judgment against Mr. Duffy. So Mr. Duffy had every right to come in and challenge that under Federal Civil Rules 12B4 and 12B5 of in-service process. But he had the burden of proof. What was his proof? He showed the courts that he left, went to Rhode Island, joined the military, and the child in question was adopted, which means no longer his obligation or property, especially under that default order. So most of you know, no paternity, which is a prerequisite for child support, no child support. If the child is not your property anymore, thus adopted, you are not responsible. The person who adopted the child is now responsible. Now, if he did establish paternity, they got him with paternity, and he gave the child up for adoption, he will still be responsible unless that person who adopted the child took over, but not this case. He just wasn't served. They never established lawful paternity. He had documentation. Now, let's go to the night part. You got a gentleman on here telling you, send it back. Okay, what is your defense? How are you going to have the burden of proof showing that you were not served? Okay, if you send that mail back and there's affidavits and evidence showing that you live there, how are you going to rebut that affidavit? You have to rebut the affidavit and proof that they provided. What, you're just going to go in and say, I sent it back because I didn't want to do business. That's not how it works. Now, yes, they need your cooperation. If you go in there and say, I'm not giving you nothing, whatever, you know, are they going to reverse that default judgment they put on you? Probably not. Okay? So make it easy on yourself. If you're going to claim no service of process, if your ID or everything, your light and gas bill, your cell phone bill is in your name with that address, guess what? You cannot make the defense of invalid service process.
Preach it,
like
man.
Mr. Duffy did. Okay? I would read this to you. It's a lot to read, but I'm telling you, get the Federal Civil Rules book and look under Rule 12B4 and 12B5. You have to find it in a book. You won't find it online. The reason why I tell you, and the reason why we tell you read a physical book, because it includes case law, okay, on every point that it tells you. But, yeah, there are a number of ways that they can verify your address. And how are you going to dispute that when all the evidence is against you? Okay? So you got somebody telling you half truth. Yes, you can make the defense that you were not serviced. But what they're not telling you is you better have a valid burden of proof. And just going in saying, I wasn't serviced because I didn't want to do business, that's not enough. You're going to have to now put in work because now you showed up to defend. Once Mr. Duffy showed up to defend, that was his appearance, okay? So now he will have to have proof in order to get that motion reversed or that default judgment reversed, okay? So what we taught you about the mailbox rule is true unless you have a valid burden of proof like Mr. Duffy did.
Okay.
So
let me say something.
I read the page that he tried to skip over where it said judgment of paternity.
Yeah.
You know, that was a default judgment.
Well, this the thing. Check this out. The mailbox rule. If you own a P.O. box or if you using somebody's mailbox and they know you live there, you getting mail there, guess what? They got your ass. Okay?
Yes.
So, what you need to do, if you want to be living up under the rock like some niggas is, don't communicate with nobody. Don't do no business with nobody. Just don't have no mailbox. You know what I mean? And they can't find your ass. But we got too many snitches crawling around this motherfucker to get you. Because we had one brother, they came to his job and they didn't know who he was. Right? And they pointed him out. So, we just telling you that. We out. Answer the shit. Peace.